Caston, one of those hot button issues, of course, even for Democrats, and a place where some might say there is a divide, is whether or not to call for the impeachment of President Donald Trump. Where do you stand on that issue?
Well, I spent my whole weekend reading the Mueller report because I wanted to understand what's there. And I think impeachment is actually too small a question. Because what Mr. Mueller lays out very clearly in that report is that, number one, the narrowness of the special counsel statute and his mandate means that, in his view, he was not able to reach an affirmative question about whether criminal activity occurred. He goes on to say that there's a public interest in him exonerating the president if he can, and says that he can't. That puts a fairly high onus on us in Congress to immediately initiate proceedings to fulfill our obligations with respect to oversight, with respect to a check and balance. We can elect whether or not we choose to impeach, but we cannot elect whether or not to fulfill our constitutional obligations. And the question of impeachment does not address the question of criminality. And there's a very clear question of criminality that we now have, since Mr. Mueller has said that he can't answer that question given his mandate. We have an obligation to pick up the threads that he's left, have those hearings, and let the truth lead us where it lies. And hopefully be confident enough in our own convictions to make the right choices once we have that information. There's a lot of redactions in that report. There are a lot of questions that Mr. Mueller didn't have the mandate to ask around campaign finance questions, the whole question around WikiLeaks we don't know yet because it's redacted. We have to pull those threads, and failure to do that would be a dereliction of our responsibilities.
Congressman